Y'all, I have an entire presentation on the Destiny lore for all of you so that anybody that's watching can feel a little bit more caught up. It goes from basically the in-game start of kind of when things were picking up, basically what Destiny 1 gives you, up until now with the bullet-pointed lore that takes place. We've got a lot to get through, and I want to get into this game, so we're gonna get started here. Without further ado, let me give you all a brief abbreviated history of Destiny so you are caught up for Lightfall as we kick off the stream. 2014 or some bull like that. A big ass space orb shows up over Earth, all right? This space orb is important. It's a magical space orb. It's called the Traveler. All right, Traveler is magic. It gives us all sorts of really cool tech advancements. It like sends us into a golden age, blows our minds. We had all this cool technology, a lot of it brought to you by this company called Clovis Bray, led by this mad scientist guy, Clovis Bray. It's named after him, egomaniac, you know? He's putting people into robot bodies called exos. We're colonizing all these different planets like Venus and Mars. We built a giant warsat defense network for the solar system called Warminds, and they're all named after like Russian emperors, and it's pretty cool. It's a good time for humanity, called the Golden Age. But just like all good things, it has to come to an end. Cue a bad time. Arrival of this force called the Darkness. The Darkness has these pyramid ships, big spooky people. We don't have a lot of history on what exactly happened, but they nearly wipe out humanity in this event called the Collapse. When I say almost wiped it out, I mean like almost wiped it out. Everybody's almost dead. But our special orb daddy, the Traveler, saves us, manages to push it back somehow. And in its wake, the Traveler creates some magical powered zombies that were brought to life by these little guys. These are called ghosts. They look for dead bodies and then they bring them back to life with magical light power. And you come back as this risen being that can use space magic called the Light to do all sorts of cool elemental shit. Also, our ghost in Destiny 1 was originally voiced by Peter Dinklage, which was pretty cool.
I'm a ghost, actually.
So anyway, humanity kind of sucked for a while. There was like this whole apocalyptic situation. Everything's all wiped out and on fire. The people who got brought to life as guardians, whenever you get brought back, you don't have your memories. So all they know is that they have magic powers and they don't know who they are. So they start doing murder and warlording, and that wasn't very good. And it kind of just sucked. It kind of just sucked all over the place. So these dudes called the Iron Lords decided, yo, we're gonna put some government in place. And they do that. And they found a city underneath the Traveler called the Last City. And it's great. Humanity has a place to live again. Also, at some point during this, I don't remember exactly where in the timeline, there were a bunch of humans that kind of f***ed off from Earth when things were going south, and they went into this like weird pan-dimensional space called the Distributary and got turned into 5-head magic people called the Awoken. And they've got like this city in like the asteroid belt junk heap, and they're led by mommy Queen Mara and her emo brother Aldrin. So those are important characters that'll come back up. So anyways, that brings us to Destiny 1. This is when things kick off. The government is established. The Last City's cool. We've got this whole squad of guardians all just doing their thing. They're all led by this group called the Vanguard, and there's a different person representing each of the 3 guardian classes. We've got bald Titan dad Zavala.
Now that we are together again, we just might stand a chance.
We've got bald warlock mom Ikora Ray.
The fact is, if we destroy that weapon, we will ignite a chain reaction that could send our sun into a supernova.
And we've got robot funny Uncle Cade 6.
Well, at least we have each other.
Indeed.
All leading the pack, leading the charge, telling us what to do. It's awesome. They're doing a great job. Now, there is a lot of game to get through, so let's try and speed run through this. Destiny 1's main campaign, we're off doing space cop shit, killing aliens, making them knock off their bad behavior. However, hold on, there's some time-traveling crazy robots called the Vex. They are like a hive mind, time-traveling sentient force that wants to just be the last living creatures, or I guess robot living. They're made of milk and goop and metal. They've got this like planet called the Black Garden with a darkness heart on it that we go and destroy. We go destroy this thing. It's bad and it makes more darkness come to the galaxy, and it's just not fun. It's not fun for anybody. DLC number 1, because that's kind of where it just ended. We just ended with destroying that. We're like, good job. Hopefully nothing bad happens to us. That would suck. DLC number 1 for Destiny is The Dark Below. There are these creepy little bug-looking guys called the Hive. That's another alien race we fight. And the Hive have a god named Crota. And Crota has what is called a throne world on the moon. The throne world is basically like a pocket dimension that you get when you're extra strong. You get like your own place to live in and control your dimension. And really, like, it's just kind of a scary looking spot that people make themselves taller most of the time and stronger. So we go into Crota's pocket dimension and kill him, because that would not be good to have on the moon. Moving on, conversely to slaying a literal god, in the second DLC, House of Wolves, we team up with the Awoken and we go to their space prison and we track down a criminal that is part of this group called the Elixni, or the Fallen if you want to use a space slur. So the Fallen / Elixni, they're a group of nomadic, tech-loving aliens that used to have the Traveler on their planet, but then they got pissed because the Traveler left them, so they came to kill us as revenge. Anyways, this is Skolas. He went to space jail. Complete opposite of being God Slayers. We are now cops again. Go us. Now we reach Destiny 1's first expansion, The Taken King. This, up until now, Destiny, you may have heard, was a mediocre game, and it's largely because of vanilla D1's campaign. It was a little lacking. It was a little underwhelming and confusing and bad. Taken King changed that with a very novel concept, a compelling villain. This is Oryx. This is Crota's dad, and he's mad that we killed his son. So he comes and parks his big space car outside of Saturn and wants to murder all of us. So we go no, and we show up in his throne world, which is his space car, and murder Oryx. Now, Oryx is one of 3 huge big bad Hive gods. There are 3 of them in total, Oryx of course, along with his sisters, Savathun and Xivu Arath. They each have like their own domain that they take care of. So like Savathun is in charge of trickery, and Xivu Arath is in charge of war. Oryx can take people and turn them into Taken, which are like slimy, goopy people. And whenever they do something in their realm, their domain, they get more power. So when Savathun tricks someone, when Xivu Arath murders someone, they get more powerful, which feeds the energy of the giant worm gods that give them their power that they made a deal with way back when. None of that is relevant right now to this campaign. The only thing that's important is we killed Oryx, but it'll come back up later. Moving on to the next expansion, Rise of Iron. You remember me telling you about those Iron Lord people? The Iron Lords still are kind of around, and those handful that we team up with in this campaign, we do that. We team up with them to fight some Twizzler-looking living computer virus called Siva, and it basically corrupts computers, makes them turn evil. So we go to the Iron Lord's hideout, and we get to hang out with this dude called Lord Saladin, who now just makes us play PvP, and he's like, yo, let's go take down like some Elixni because they love technology and want to cuddle with Siva, and we're gonna do a big murder on them. So we do that. This is Axis. He's a raid boss, so he turned himself into a Twizzler spider. It was very fun to murder him. Onwards to Destiny 2. We're getting closer, gang. Destiny 2, Bungie said, yo, let's make stuff a little more accessible and soft reboot this franchise. So naturally, where do we start? Warmongering space turtles. These are the Cabal. They're big space bullies. They love war and they love power. And they are led in this particular instance in the D2 campaign by someone named Gaul. He's a big, scary, angry space turtle who overthrew the Emperor and now is mad because he wants the light and he can't have it. He wasn't chosen. So he shows up and he captures our orb inside of this prison and kind of locks him down, and we don't get our powers anymore, and everyone's sad, and the Vanguard has a crisis of faith and fucks off into different corners of the universe. So we gotta go track him down and save him. But we do, and we kill Gaul, and then the Traveler explodes for reasons, and we get our powers back. Also, this guy, this is Callus, aka Turtle Bezos. He loves money and grapes. He invites us onto his extra giant space car to do like a strongman competition and look really cool and badass. So we do that a little bit. And then on top of all of that, at the very end of the campaign, post-credit scene, Marvel style, a big pulse wave comes off from the Traveler and it wakes up the Darkness fleet of Doritos, and they go, oh, we're gonna come get you. And then they don't come get you for a while. Onwards to the first DLC, Curse of Osiris. This is Osiris, Warlock of Legend, banished scholar because he liked to study the Vex and time travel for reasons we'll get into later. Osiris was doing a little fucking around with timey-wimey shit. The Vex were on Mercury, and he opened like a bad door to like let them in, so we had to go stop him. So we did that. DLC number 2, Warmind. We go to Mars, and we team up with the granddaughter of mad scientist Clovis Bray, Anna Bray. She's a guardian, and she's best friends with our cybernetic Russian buddy, Rasputin, the Warmind. And he's getting attacked by the Hive, cause Savathun, probably. So we got to go save him. Also, this is a Hive worm god. I mentioned them briefly, and he shows up during a strike and we murder it. And it was really badass, and they got rid of that strike and it made me mad. Okay, I told you that they soft rebooted Destiny by doing D2. Well, that was not going over well with the Destiny community. So we moved on to expansion number 1, Forsaken, which was kind of the polar opposite in tone. D2 was really focused on our redeeming ourselves and coming back into the light. This campaign opened with a fun prison break mission where all of a sudden these people were breaking out of that prison that we put the people in way back in the House of Wolves expansion in Destiny 1. Well, in the process of that, Cade fucking dies, murdered by none other than emo boy Prince Uldren Sov himself, which was very unlike Uldren. He's emo, but he's not an asshole. So we were like, what the hell? Either way, we're pissed because Cade's dead. So we go on a murderous warpath trying to track down Uldren and everyone associated with him in this group called the Scorn, which are basically Elixni that injected themselves with like space meth and turned into darkness monsters. In the process of doing this, we discover that the Awoken have a secret city called the Dreaming City, where Queen Mara herself has been holding on to a wish dragon called an Ahamkara that can basically manipulate time and space based on your desires. So we have to murder this thing. It was actually manipulating Uldren in order to turn him into a murderer. So we do a murder, but guess what? When we kill the dragon, it puts everything into a time loop. This was all one big bean boozle from Savathun to put it into a time loop so that we would keep dying and murdering stuff, and then the Dreaming City was trapped, and also it makes like a murder battery so that Savathun's trickery just keeps getting charged and she gets stronger and stronger. And yeah, it was not pretty. We got punked. We got absolutely punked. That was about all we could really do about that situation for the time being. Then we get into seasonal storytelling where stuff gets a little more like kind of episodic. There's smaller stuff. They basically started doing these little mini stories in between each major expansion to flesh out the plot a bit more. We met this dude called the Drifter. He taught us a new mini game where we pick up these motes of dark. Then we also met this lady named Ada. She runs an armory that makes cool weapons. And Space Bezos Turtle Dad, he has this adoptive child named Galron who got a crown from Savathun that drove him crazy. So we had to kill him and take the crown. On to expansion number 2, Shadowkeep. This was on the moon. The moon is haunted with these trauma ghosts that show up and make you feel very bad about the things that you did in your past. That's not fun. Nor are the Hive building a giant fortress on the moon. So we stopped that naturally and learned that buried underneath the surface of the moon the whole dang time was a big pyramid Dorito that's not nice. It's part of the Darkness Fleet, and it's been doing the trauma ghosts the whole time and whispering to people, telling them to do evil, naughty shit. So we didn't do anything about it because we can't. Those things are way too big. We can't destroy them. We're just like, keep an eye on that thing. Don't let that get out of hand. Then we move on to the season. The Vex were doing time shit. I honestly am going to be straight up, don't remember anything major. I'm sure there were big lore revelations in this season. I don't recall much that came out of it that's still relevant right now. But Vex time travel led into the next season where we team up with Osiris once more to go rescue Osiris's boyfriend and legendary Titan, Saint 14, because he got killed way in the past by Vex that he was fighting. We basically just time traveled back and yoinked him out of that timeline so he could survive and put him in our timeline. There's like an offshoot terrorist faction of Cabal that are mad that we killed Gaul. So they took this giant spaceship called the Almighty that Gaul was in charge of previously, and they want to like crash that shit into Earth and blow it up. We team up with Rasputin, who sends off a bunch of missiles and blows up the Almighty just in time to save the planet. Then those Dorito ships, the one that we saw in the moon and the one that came to get us when we set off the big light burst at the end of the main campaign, they show up and they start fucking around with these different planets, culminating in them straight up disappearing a bunch of planets. Callus nopes out, Mars disappears, Mercury disappears, one of Jupiter's moons disappears. just gone. We have no idea where they went. The darkness took them. Onwards into Beyond Light. We go to Europa to respond to a distress signal, at which we find a pyramid ship that gives us our first darkness powers. They're ice-based. We can free shit now. And we also got contacted by someone who previously worked at the Prison of Elders, a man named Varix, who wanted us to assist in saving his ass from an evil space pirate named Aramis. Now, I told you that all of the Elixni were mad because the Traveler abandoned them. She's probably the most mad. She's not only just mad at us, she wants to destroy the Traveler. So she comes to Europa to try and get the pyramid ship. So we use our new darkness powers to freeze her. We also learn where the Exos come from, which was this place called the Deepstone Crypt. It's a Braytech facility on Europa, where underneath all of it, there is a giant robot head that contains the consciousness of Clovis Bray in AI form. D2's year 4, at this point, goes on to touch on a couple other interesting subjects. You may recall in Forsaken that Cade was murdered by Uldren. Well, Uldren is back, except no, he's not. He actually got rezzed as a guardian who now goes by Crow. He does not remember who he was. He is a very sweet boy, and he saved Osiris from almost dying. Osiris's ghost, though, did die, and that's not good because that means that Osiris is now mortal. But we help Crow and Osiris track down some very dangerous looking hive that were teamed up with Zivu Arath and thwart their naughty plans. Callus's daughter, Keitel, shows up. Naturally, she wants to fight. We prove to her that we're strong.
Bow.
No.
And now we're friends. And we've been friends since this season. It was originally an uneasy alliance. Now it's just kind of an alliance. Like, we're just kind of buddies with them. Also, she might have a crush on Zavala? TBD? There was also like this Tron season where we worked with some Elixni to break into the Vex network because they were going to turn the city into like an eternal darkness, demon, Vex infected, terrible place. We meet this person. Well, we didn't meet him. We kind of crossed paths with him a couple times, but we specifically team up with someone named Misrax or Mithrax, and we team up with Mithrax to become splicers. We go into the Vex network, Tron space, and stop that from happening. Plot twist of the century. It is revealed that Osiris, when his ghost died, did not actually survive and make it out fine. Osiris was taken prisoner by Savathun and was instead body swapped craziness in with Savathun. So she was pretending to be Osiris the whole time. Savathun goes into like a cocoon state in the Dreaming City when we're talking to Mara and goes, I will only give you Osiris back if you help free me from my worm god that I have inside of me. So we have to work with Mara and all of her like space witches in order to enact this ritual to exorcise this worm god from Savathun's body. In the process, Savathun dies, which brings us naturally to expansion number 4, the Witch Queen. Now, said Savathun died. Yes, but what happens to people when they die and they're big characters in Destiny? That's right, they get brought back by the Light and the Traveler. So Savathun gets rezzed as a guardian technically, but like one that has put in place this 5D chess game, given herself back her memories, has a giant throne world because of the whole murder battery thing, and all of her memories of being a hive god. She can turn other hive in her throne world into guardians along with her. We go into this giant throne world and have to stop her. But first we have to figure out what the fuck her plan is with all of this. So we break into her mind using this darkness fueled power called the Deep Sight and learn what exactly she's trying to do. Along the way, we get all of these crazy lore revelations, like the fact that apparently the Traveler was originally going to pick the hive as like guardians, but then like the darkness got to them first and the worm gods possessed them first. Yeah, that wasn't good. Anyway, we stop them. We kind of kill her. She's guardian, so we can't be 100% sure. They've got her under containment right now. Also, at the end of that campaign, we learn about the big bad of the entire franchise, this smokehead megamind looking motherfucker named the Witness. This is the person who's been behind everything thus far. They're in charge of the Dorito fleet. Not a very nice person slash thing. I don't really know what exactly the Witness is. It's not good though. And we meet one of their disciples, the very first disciple, this JoJo villain looking ass named Rulk, who likes to wear big frilly shirts and kick people in the face. I'm not lying, that's literally how they fight in the raid. They run around and kick you in the face. Ow. So that brings us to the most recent year that has just gone by. We're almost there, gang. In the first season, we commit some war crimes and we infiltrate the minds of Savathun's light-bearing warriors to steal information about her plans. Along the way, we learned that there may have been some sort of actual plan and strategy / trickery that Savathun did back during the collapse originally to save the Traveler, so maybe she's not entirely bad. Then there was a season where Callus's ship shows back up. Now, I told you he noped out when all the planets disappeared. He didn't come back. We have no sign of Callus, but we did have the Leviathan show back up in the system, covered in this Dead Space looking evil plants and plenty more trauma ghosts from the moon. There was a pirate themed season for reasons, probably just because it's fun, where we work with Mithrax and his daughter Ido, that's Ido in the back there, to try and stop Aramis, who has become unfrozen, from acquiring these powerful artifacts. So we go do pirate heists all over the galaxy, stealing these artifacts. At the end, it is revealed that all of these artifacts were actually phylacteries, or like magic urns, for the dismembered body parts of this being known as Nezarec, who actually was a disciple of the Witness during the collapse, who turned on the Witness, it seems like. So what we do with these magic urns and these dismembered body parts is probably the most logical progression of what you do with those things. We turned them into tea so that we could feed that to Osiris, who would then wake up from his coma that he's been in since Savathun had him kidnapped. Probably nothing will go wrong from that. Nothing could possibly go wrong from that. He does, however, start hallucinating about a magic city on the planet of Neptune. Aramis is pissed that we stole those items. Aramis is pissed that we froze her. Aramis is pissed that we're winning. So Aramis learns about a Warsat space laser network that Rasputin used to be able to control. However, Rasputin is currently disabled after the whole Almighty situation. So we team up with Clovis Bray's AI mind in order to repower Rasputin, put him into an exo body, and try and gain access to this laser network before Aramis could get to it. And she gets close. It was dangerous how close she got. The final mission of this season is us racing against the clock to disable this laser network. We do manage to do it, but Rasputin sacrifices himself in the process, killing Rasputin, deleting his data so that it can't be used for evil, but we do save the Traveler and save the solar system just in time for the Witness and his entire space Dorito Fleeto to show up in the solar system, ready to fuck us up. Which brings us to Lightfall, the newest expansion. Callus is back and a disciple of the Witness. He is on Neptune, that city that Osiris was hallucinating about, called Neomuna. We don't know why exactly, but we know that there's a powerful force called the Veil. Also, we get these powers called Strand that are like these weird, like not dark, not light laser powers. Also, this happens, which can't be good. That's what we got.
Think of it as training, Guardian. You can only get stronger from this.
That's where we're at. Now you're caught up.